Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome to the show this hour. I'm sorry for coming up late. It was due to some things I was trying to put on ground. Just as I said, with the flyers and the announcement I made, I'll be discussing about my book that I recently launched and released, just to talk about a few things about what the book is all about, so that you can have an idea, a glimpse of what is contained in the book. Actually, the book is available in all the global leading stores online, and you can easily access it. We have both the ebook and the paperback format, so it depends on your choice. Very easy to lay your hands upon it. The book is titled before I even mention the title of the book, I would like to tell you, my viewers, that the hangout is brought to you by Adam's Head Blog in partnership with Innovation Solution Lab. That's the publisher of the book. So you are cordially welcome to this hangout. It's actually about me, so there is nobody to interview me, and I'm not interviewing anybody, as you know. So, but it's basically to discuss about my book, and I'll be coming once in a while to talk about few things. This is actually the first part. Second part will be coming up. Third part will also come up as well. As I said, the book was recently released in 2020, that is this year, and it is available in all the global leading stores. You can access it on Amazon, on Finac, Barnes and Nobles, on Kobo, that's Rakuten, and some others, both in ebook and paperback formats. So the title is The Pandemic Flutter of the Virus-19, an appraisal of world dramatic tragedy between December 2019 and April 2020. Actually, the book is about studying the major tragic events that happened between December 2019 and April 2020. We are all aware and we all know that the virus, the COVID, is up and down, and new things is coming out every day, meaning that that's why they call it a nouvelle virus. That is something that is new, that we don't really have an antecedent that we can talk about. So, and it is evolving, and that's why you see new things coming out day in, day out, new information about the effect, and you see various studies, research being conducted to exactly establish what the virus is all about and how to curtail it. And we all know that we must know the source of something before we can talk about destroying or amending the thing we are talking about. So in order to deal with this COVID-19 virus, we must know the source, we must know its origin, we must know the genetic makeup and every other information about the virus, which will assist, which will be like something for the researchers and the scientists to know how to deal with the virus. So this book is all about understanding what happened between this month. And I know there are so many questions. Why from December to April? and one note to June, and some other things are really coming up about the appraisal part of it. And I chose this particular December, January, February, March, April. That is 5 months. These are the time that was so hard for the world to deal with the virus, and these are those months are very, very crucial for the world. We see a lot of things happening, and globally we see the lockdown spreading across the globe. It started from a particular continent to another continent to another continent, and we are seeing the reactions and counter reactions of the presidents, of the world leaders, on how they want to deal with this particular virus. So you will discover that even after April, June, July, there was some ease, in the sense that information is now coming up, new discoveries are being made, and there is light after the tunnel. And that is why at this particular, between June, July, August, September, we discover that things are easing out gradually and gradually. But between December and April, things were so hard for the whole world. We see lockdown, number of death cases, number of infected cases or affected cases, and some other things like that. And the political tools that are being used across every nations in order to see how to solve these problems. Every countries at that time, they were looking for ways to solve this particular problem. So it was really a hard time for the countries globally, and that is why I chose between December 2019 and April 2020. Now, the book actually contains 5 chapters, and basically I discussed about 7 countries, and these are China, United States of America, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and United Kingdom. These are the countries that were discussed in this book. The book was actually reviewed, and the preface was written by Professor Mojeed Olujinmi Alabi, who happened to be a professor of political science. So he reviewed the book and provided some professional insights as well as political experience, because it was one time the Speaker of the State House of Assembly of Osun State. Then at a time again, he also represented Osun West at the House of Representatives. So you can see that, and he's a professor of political science, so he understands the political strategies and games that were played within this time that I refer to in the book. So he actually studied the book very well and put some meaningful insight in the book. And in fact, he was so excited seeing the book, and he told me personally that he's actually also writing a book on that. So when I proposed the book to him, that I actually wanted him to write a preface as well and review the book, he was so happy, and he was like, wow, this is good. That was something he was actually working on to do in a different perspective, but something about the COVID as well, which involves students and Nigerian perspective. So the book is actually published by Innovation Solution Lab. I will actually take few lines from the book. So just as I say that the book, in the dedication part, I actually dedicated the book to all the frontliners, I mean the healthcare professionals that died in the course of combating COVID-19 pandemic globally. It's so unfortunate that we lost some of our best hardworking colleagues in order to keep the country safe, and we it saddens our hearts that we lost them, and that is why I feel like this is one of the things I can do to dedicate this book to them, so that all their efforts is not in vain. They are the strong pillar of the world. They did not allow the world to collapse, so they should be appreciated. So, and that's why this book is dedicated to all of them across the globe, not one country or the other, but across the globe. And I mentioned this specifically to the doctors and nurses that died. May their soul rest in perfect peace. And again, it was also dedicated to Dr. Li Wenliang. That is the Chinese doctor who died as a result of whistleblowing for the emergence of a new virus. So these are the set of people that I actually dedicated the book to. The man died. For what reason? Because he was saying that there is a new virus coming in and we have to do something to deal with it. Unfortunately, the system of Chinese government, let me say, the Chinese government did not accept this. They see it as a rumor, and for one reason or the other, maybe for their own political reasons or whatever, the man was knocked down. So, and now we are all in it now. We are all in it. May their gentle soul rest in peace. Now, I just want to take a few lines from the introduction to this book, so that you will actually have an insight or an idea of what the book is all about. The physical boundaries geographically was designed to determine the territorial architecture and ownership. This is just an imaginary line that cannot protect various nationals from any pandemic. This is not the first pandemic outbreak. How was the previous pandemic outbreak conquered globally? What were the roles of political gladiators during the pandemic of smallpox? How soon did the world forget about the SARS, SARS, MERS, and most recently the Ebola virus? In fact, this Ebola virus was actually confirmed there were confirmed cases in the United States as well as United Kingdom. And globally, there were over 11,000 people that died globally. Now, the World Health Organization declared over 3 million mortality, over 300 million mortality globally. I'm talking about smallpox now. In the 20th century, despite all concerted efforts to develop a vaccine to control the contagious disease in 1796. Now, the two major countries contending world power during Cold War, that is United States of America and Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, that is the USSR, which is now being broken down, and the most popular among them, known as Russia, set aside their political ideologies and differences to fight a common enemy, threatening the human survival and existence. Over 300 million died. Over 300 million died as a result of smallpox. Graham Gibbs, an American psychologist, published a book which he titled Learning by Doing. It describes the reflective cycle of human life, where people learn from experiences to adopt a better and stronger positive behavioral pattern that will be reflected in the coming event. Truly, we all went to bed forgetting to close the main door. As a common saying, experience is the best teacher. The world leaders failed to learn lessons from the previous pandemic outbreak, especially of the smallpox. The COVID-19 has revealed the fragility of the entire world. The virus has exposed the strength and the weaknesses of various health institutions globally. The mighty countries are begging on their knees, while the low economic countries are waiting for miracle to save them. So this book analyzed and reviewed the most critical period of the pandemic outbreak. That is from December 2019 to April 2020. Now, I ended this introduction to the books with this few lines. Is the world prepared for another pandemic outbreak? Only the future will tell, based on whatever lessons that are learned from the current challenges. It was so astonished in the sense that recently, even the leader of World Health Organization mentioned this particular statement. He said it, that are we prepared, or how are we prepared for another pandemic? Because this will not be the last. This will not be the last. So how prepared are we for another pandemic? And that is why from the introduction of this book, you can see that I try to bring about, to reflect the past events. There were so many others. We have the Spanish flu, or what we have Spanish flu, and some other things like that. We have the SARS. Though these were not pandemic, because it did not affect all, but it affected many of the continent. A lot of continents were affected. Even the one we call SARS, MERS, MERS, as well as the Ebola. When there is an outbreak, we are supposed to learn from all these diseases that are coming up. We were not supposed to go and sleep. We should learn from them, so that once we have a disease that has been established, means that we know about it, we know the pathophysiology, and we know everything that we're supposed to know. So when something like that is about to happen again, we know exactly what we are supposed to do. Now, I have some things to clarify so that we will all be well informed. This book was not actually to criticize world leaders or health organizations or anybody. So it was just a collation of the ways leaders responded to the virus. And that is why I will always advise you to please kindly lay your hands on a copy of the book so that you will look into it. I did not say this particular country was the best. I actually had a conversation with a friend and who asked me, now from your book, can you kindly tell us who managed the virus, the outbreak very well? I said, until you lay your hands on a copy, then you will be the one to tell me who managed it very well. I, as a writer, as an author, all I did was to collate all the events that happened and how the leaders took necessary steps. What were the ways, the measures, or the strategies that they adopted in order to deal with the virus. Now, the book actually synthesize and critically analyze the responses across the globe. There were many factors that designed the pattern of these responses. We cannot overrule that because geographical locations, standard of living, political strategy, economic influence, and so many other things. There are so many factors that will determine how the countries will react or respond to the virus as well. More interestingly and amazing too is observing some similarities in some measures and choice of words that were adopted by some leaders. At a point in time, we discovered that by the time you read the book, you discover that at a point in time, you see one president in a country using one word. Some days after, you see another government, another president in another country using similar words with same points of view. So these are the things, these are the pattern that I try to analyze and studied in the book as well. At the height of the outbreak, there was a common term that was used by all these world leaders. So, and you want me to mention the word that they were using? At least the President of the United States of America used this particular word. The Prime Minister of United Kingdom used the same words. The President of France used the same words. So, and some other countries like that. So they used this particular word that at a point in time it was strange, but it's like, and everybody was like, is it truly this that is happening? Is it true? But on the other hand, we try to look at it critically and see it makes the sense of that word, but in reality, that is not exactly what happened. But when you now go to the battlefield, you see it and say, oh, wow, this is what is happening. So I've tried to use, so you actually find it in the book. So they use that word, which was so interesting and amazing, very amazing, because even you have to understand the fact that every country has its own political ideology and political standard and ways of adopting or how they do their things, they run their countries. So I want to take one important aspect that is really affecting all of us. That is the lockdown, the impact of the lockdown on the economy. Now, the impact is so devastating and massive. It's so unfortunate it happens. But I try to make some little comparison and analysis between some past events about the economic meltdown. Now, can we compare the current economic downturn with what is known as Great Depression? Now, I would just want to brief us what is about Great Depression. The Great Depression is also known as economic depression. So that is the term that was used. So it began in the United States of America around 1929 and it ended in the late 1930s. What happened? It happened because there were falls in the stock prices. So the stock prices were falling down, they were shooting down, coming down. So this eventually affected the whole world. Now the question will now be that, but if there is a problem affecting the stock exchange or the market in the United States, what happened? Well, what is the effect on every other countries? That shows that United States is a world power country. And that's why I eventually said that if United States of America sneezes, the rest of the world will do what? Are they going to sneeze or they will immediately catch cold? It's not funny. That shows if America sneezes, what happened to the whole world? So meaning that You and I, are we supposed to be protecting the United States of America, or we should be protecting our country? You will be the one to judge that. That is one. So look at the relationship or the impact of the current economic meltdown and look at what happened during the Great Depression. I know some economists, because I read some articles where some economists were talking about that with what is happening now. Another one is the Great Recession. This one happened between 2007, that is 2007, and 2009. This time too, there was decline in global economies. It was going down. The global economy was going down. Everything was going down. Now, the effect and the recovery from Great Depression and Great Recession varies from countries to countries. Now, after the Great Depression happened, the coming up to the recovery style or pattern of countries were varies, because a country that already had a very economic stability and a very buoyant and vibrant economy, they quickly pick up. While the country with middle economy, they are trying to manage to pick up as well. But on the other hand, the country with low economic stability had it very hard to quickly pick up. Now, I know you want to ask me the question again. Where did the Great Recession began from? It also began from United States of America. And what was the reason? What